brings us to the next item of business, 10-minute rule motion. Dame Siobhain McDonagh.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision about the liability of practitioners and of the organisation which employs the practitioner where a practitioner prescribes an unlicensed medicine to or carries out a non-standard treatment on a person who is terminally ill, to make provision about the import, storage and use of equipment and unlicensed medicine for the purpose of such prescriptions or such treatment and for connected purposes. Advances in medical science wait for no man or woman, unless, of course, you are one of the thousands of people in the UK each year diagnosed with a rare cancer, in which case you are likely to receive the NHS treatment that has remained unchanged for over 30 years, with no improvement in outcomes, no access to drug trials, and no access to the huge progress that has been made in individualised cancer vaccines or immunotherapy. But it doesn't have to be that way. In Germany, medical practitioners can offer experimental treatments to patients with a terminal diagnosis without fear that they or the organisations that employ them will be held liable or penalised. They can offer a patient a lifeline that doctors in the UK are not allowed to. That's why I'm introducing this bill to protect clinicians in the same way and to allow patients access to the latest medical treatment. In truth, Madam Deputy Speaker, this 10-minute rule bill holds no prospect of becoming law. We know this. However, the bill serves another purpose: to bring a voice to the thousands of terminally ill patients and the ordeal that they are forced to go through in search of a lifeline, to expose the culture of fear among medical professionals in the NHS surrounding individualised treatment, and to suggest a better way forward. Madam Deputy Speaker, please excuse my German pronunciation. Individually, Heil Versuchi. This is the German law that allows doctors to provide personalised individual treatment plans. Through this, when a terminally ill patient has run out of traditional treatment options, medical practitioners can use treatments that have not been fully approved or which have been approved for other purposes as part of individual treatment programmes. They are able to prescribe drugs for off-label usage, drugs that are known to save lives but are not yet available to patients with a specific condition. How can it be right not to offer the same rights to patients in the UK? Instead, the NHS and healthcare in general abandon them to die when the outdated and inadequate standard care fails. Understandably, many fight and take a hard choice to travel internationally, and in this case to Germany, where they can find treatment denied to them in their own country. I know this path. I walked it with my sister. I have held her head as she was sick in a bin on the concourse of Terminal 5 at Heathrow Airport. I have obscured her from flight attendants for fear that they would take her off the plane and we wouldn't get to Düsseldorf. One night, I wondered how I would explain her death in a foreign city, in a country where I did not speak the language or understand emergency care. But I would do every bit of it again because I wanted to extend her life, and there was nothing for her here in the UK. We were lucky, we could pay for it. There are thousands of people who are currently following the same difficult path. For some, it's harder because they don't have the money, and at a time of great distress, they are forced to sell their homes, run marathons, or bake cakes to get the treatment their loved ones need. Many are forced to travel alone because their partners cannot afford to go with them, or cannot afford to take their children. Laura was diagnosed with a glioblastoma when she was just 18. A first-year student at King's College London, she was told she had just 12 months to live with the standard care available in the NHS. For Laura's family, that just wasn't good enough. In Germany, they found an individualised treatment plan that helped Laura live 4.5 years past her diagnosis, defying the mere 12 months oncologists in the UK gave her. Before she lost her battle with cancer, Laura was able to complete her degree and a wonderful bucket list, including crossing the equator, presenting the weather, and meeting Michelle Obama. This decision to travel overseas for highly expensive treatment is not one to be taken lightly. But I would ask the House the same question that Laura's indomitable mum, Nicola, asked her oncologist. What would you do if this was your child? When Zoe, a 35-year-old secondary school teacher with 2 young sons, was diagnosed with a grade 4 cancer, she found the available NHS treatment seemed old-fashioned and out of date. Her oncologist was against trying anything different, despite telling her that she had just 15 months to live. Zoe was able to access experimental treatment in Germany, treatment that research has since highlighted results in an increase in survival time. She passed away 2 years after her diagnosis, but critically was able to access treatment that did not affect her quality of life, something that cannot be said for the treatment that would have been available in the UK. Zoe's husband told me, when you are handed a death sentence, your risk appetite changes. Zoe, along with the countless other patients that have reached out to me with a range of cancers and terminal illnesses, and whose stories I could share with the House, should never have to travel for their treatment. Margaret should never have had to travel. We know that in many cases, individual treatment has proven to lead people to surviving far longer than their original prognosis. I can say with confidence that it did for Margaret. It provides hope that simply we don't get from our current health system. That is why I propose we extend the opportunity of individual treatment programmes to the thousands of people with a terminal diagnosis in the UK. We must end the cruel practice of forcing our most vulnerable to travel overseas to access better care at huge expense. It is clear that legislation is needed to protect our doctors and to allow them to progress with the best standard of care. At the very least, we need to end the culture of fear amongst medical professionals in this country with regard to experimental and individual treatments, so that they can inform their patients of options that could lengthen their life expectancy. As Zoe's husband said to me, patients do not want the fatalism that many in this field have. Realism is fine, but no one has the right to remove hope from a patient. This bill would bring that hope back to thousands of people.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many heirs of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Jim Shannon, Uma Kumaran, Peter Lamb, Luke Murphy, Rachel Maskell, Tonya Antasipazi, Valerie Vaz, Mary Glinden, Saoirse Eastwood, Helena Dollimore, Natasha Irons and myself, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Dame Siobhain McDonagh.
Treatment of terminal illness bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday, 17th of January 2025.
Friday, 17th of January 2025.